playing piano with two hands is hard. I know that from my own experience, but also because I hear from you guys that playing with both hands together is the toughest challenge that you face at the piano. And it's not just a problem for beginners. Playing two hands together is hard for piano players at every level. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you 3 ways to make it much easier. First, we'll look at the most effective exercise for playing with two hands, then at a really powerful piano practice technique that I call push past, and then at another technique, time suspension, which I think might be the best tactic of all for hands together playing. I'll also be asking you to tell me about your own hands together and piano practice experiences down in the comments, so don't forget to have your say. Okay, so let's think about exercises first. Now, any two-handed exercise that you play on the piano, whether it's a scale or a broken chord or whatever, is going to improve the way your hands work together on the keyboard. But the best exercise for hand independence is one that actually a lot of people forget or don't even know about. It's playing a scale or a broken chord pattern in contrary motion. I'll walk you through exactly how to play that in a moment. First though, why are contrary motion scales so powerful? It's because the scales themselves are pretty easy, but both hands are busy all the time, doing different things all the time, so your ability to play hands together is being constantly challenged, but in a simple and controlled way. So let's look at how to play that contrary motion scale I was playing a couple of moments ago. It's C major contrary motion in 2 octaves. What I'll do is play it quite slowly and animate in the fingers that I'm using. Remember, on the piano, we number the fingers of each hand outwards. So on both the left and the right hand, 1 is the thumb and 5 is the pinky. By the way, if you want to slow this part of the video down and copy what I'm doing, all you have to do is hit the little cog icon at the bottom right of the video screen and select a slower playback speed. You might find that a really useful thing to do. Okay, here we go. If you work that contrary motion scale into your daily practice for a little while, you should find that your confidence at playing with two hands together really starts to improve. And if you want to increase the challenge, you've got quite a few options. You could try playing the scale in different keys, maybe with more black notes. You could try playing more octaves so that your hands are travelling further apart on the piano keyboard. Or you could try playing broken chords as well as scales. If you're finding this useful so far, remember to mash that like button. It really helps to spread the word to other people about my piano tutorials. And also, once we're done, please be sure to add a comment down below telling me about your own experiences of learning to play the piano with two hands. Next, I want to talk about this technique that I call push past. When you're learning something new on the piano, whether it's from sheet music or a song from a chord progression, the standard advice is practice each hand separately and then put them together. Great, I've got no argument with that at all. That is really good advice. So what you do is practice the right hand part of your piece, and you're really diligent, and you play it quite a few times, and after a while you're like, yeah, I feel like I've got that. So you move on and you practice the left hand part. And after a while, again, you're like, cool, yeah, I think that I've got that as well. I know, I'll try putting the hands together. So you do that, and suddenly, everything is much harder. If that sounds familiar, then the problem is with the way you're doing separate hands practice. At that point where you said, right hands, yeah, I think I've got that, and left hands, yeah, I think I've got that, actually, you hadn't got it, or you hadn't got it as well as you thought you had. What you have to do to fix that is consistently push past the point where you feel you've got it in either hand. You have to do separate hands practice that feels unnecessary because your conscious brain is saying to you, hey, look, I can do this. Knowing how far to push past the point where you feel like you've got it is tough because once again, your subjective judgment will deceive you. So take it out of the control of your subjective judgment. Say to yourself, I feel I've got this left hand part, but I'm still going to practice it another 20 or 30 or 40 times. Then literally count the number of times you practice it through until you get to 20 or 30 or 40. Two really important points about push past practice. Number one, don't let it ever be mindless. Never switch off when you're doing those extra repetitions. Always try to improve with every playthrough. And number two, focus on the tough bits. You'll grasp the easy sections of the piece you're working on pretty quickly, so give them a little bit of push past, but then move on and give a lot more time and attention to the difficult bits. The final technique is suspending time. Now, this is one I've talked about on the channel in the past, and I think it's probably the most powerful technique you have for getting your hands working together on the piano. I want you to think temporarily of playing the piano as a purely mechanical exercise. Now, that would normally be a terrible way of thinking about music, but just for now, it's going to be useful. Put aside the expressive side of things and think of it as just a case of pressing the right notes at the right times. There are two elements there, the right notes at the right times. What we're going to do is take one of those elements, the timing, away completely. Let me show you what I mean. Let's say that you're working on a piano piece like this one. It doesn't have to be a written score. It could be chords, a piano part for a song you're writing, or whatever. I'm just using this as an example. It's taken from my beginner's piano series. It's from lesson 11, if you're familiar with that series. It's right here on YouTube. I'll stick a link in the description text below. Let me just play through the first few bars so you can get a sense of how it should sound. Now, if you were working on this, you could start with some separate hands practice using some push past, and then put your hands together and try a few runs suspending time, taking the timing away altogether. That might sound something like this. The key thing is, you're not getting stressed out about the timing not being right, because the timing isn't there. You can even have breaks between bars if you want to. All you have to do to declare victory here is to play the right notes, more or less, you're allowed a few mistakes, in the right order relative to one another. Maybe aim to do this 10 times, 20 times, whatever. After you've done it a few times, maybe gradually begin to play bits of it in time. But don't get stressed out if you can't. Yeah, the timing will come. Try it out and let me know down in the comments how you get on. All of these techniques are designed to do your brain a favour. Playing the piano with two hands is an extremely mentally demanding task. It's more than just twice as hard as playing with one hand, but it's frustrating because it feels like it should be easier than it is. Now, as well as the three specific techniques we've covered, you can help the process if you have good practice habits. Try to be at the piano little and often. 20 minutes a day, 7 days a week is what I sometimes recommend. And it's the often part, the regularity, that really makes a difference. And when you're practicing, focus solidly and make sure you're always challenging yourself. If it's not challenging, it's not practice. There's also more stuff that I do that you might find helpful. Obviously, there's my YouTube channel, plus I've written a bunch of books that you might like. There are links to those in the description text below. And I also think you'll enjoy my 6 piano packs. The piano packs are collections of original pieces, exercises, practice techniques, sample practice plans, improvisation challenges, music theory tidbits, and much more. And each one, by the way, comes with its own dedicated walkthrough video. I originally created the piano packs for my Patreon supporters, and you can still get them at no extra charge if you sign up to support me on Patreon. There is a link below. But now you can also buy the piano packs as a one-off for just £16.95, which I think is a pretty good deal considering everything you get in them. Here's a clickable on-screen link to find out more about those piano packs, so hit that right now and check out the deal, then come back and take a look at some more of my piano tutorials right here on YouTube. I'll see you soon.